For what you are seeing on your board, in this video we are going to talk about circle, and you wonder why I'm picking it as a topic. You need to know the parts of circle. We have the part of circle, all the labeled part of circle. You need to know what all the parts, so as to know our description when we are doing calculation. In SS1 we have questions on calculation on the perimeter of a sector. We also calculate the length of an arc and so many other aspects. Then in SS2 we talk about circle geometry theorems. There are very many. So I need to explain the details of the parts you can find in circle. The first aspect I want to talk about is the circumference. You see this line I'm drawing like this. This line that goes around the circle, the boundary of the circle. No wonder it's also called the perimeter of the circle. The boundary is called the circumference. Circumference. It's called the circumference. That boundary is called the circumference. It's called the circumference. Then we also have other part of circle, like a cut out portion from the circumference, not a full. The full is circumference, the boundary, circumference. But there are cut out portion that is not full. When it's not full, when it's halfway or maybe 1/4 way or whatever way. Let me just take for instance here to here. This curve you are seeing, or this bigger one you are seeing, either this one or the bigger one, any of them could be from any portion from the circumference. Let me say here, this arc, this one, we call it an arc. We call it an arc. This one is an arc, this one is a bigger arc, this one is a smaller arc. Very simple. So an arc is a cut out portion from the circumference. Circumference is a full round boundary there, but the arc is just a cut out portion from the circumference. You know that. Then we talk about, this is the center of the circle. We talk about the radius. The radius is actually a line drawn from any point. It could be from this point to this point, this point to this point, this point to this point. Any part of the circumference drawn to the center of the circle is called the radius. Any point you pick, just pick any point from the circumference, any point at all, and you draw it to the center of the circle. You are actually talking about the radius. That's why radius is always equal, because that's why we define circle as a shape that is equidistant, equal in distance. The English word equidistant means equal in distance from the center, as is equal in distance, equidistance from the center of the circle. So that's exactly what you see there. So radius is actually any point from the circumference to the center of the circle. The next thing I would like to talk about is the chord. This chord you are seeing is actually a straight line joining any 2 points on the circumference. I repeat, a straight line joining any 2 points on the circumference. This is what I'm talking about. I just picked a point here, I picked another point here. I use a straight line to join it. It's a chord. In fact, a diameter is also a chord. Just a point here, I pick another point here. The only difference about this chord and this center one is that this center one is going through the center, which we call diameter. But this one, I'm just picking it from any other 2 points that is not a diameter. So a diameter, I'm defining two terms same time now, talking about the chord and also talking about the diameter. In fact, you can define diameter as a chord that passes through the center of the circle. You're also right, because diameter is also a chord. What is then a diameter? First of all, I would like to define my terms one after the other. Circumference. Circumference is the boundary a circle. Then arc is cuts out portion from the circumference. Then chord is straight line joining any two points from the circumference. Can you see that? So we talked about then diameter. Diameter is a chord that passes through the center of a circle. You can see that diameter is a chord that passes through the center of the circle. So we define all these terms now. With the other terms for us to define, we are still going to talk about them. The next thing I want to talk about is segment. Some people are missing the word segment and sector. I will explain that, don't worry. Now, you will see something. I'm going to explain something here. I will start with this chord because you will see this chord. Don't mind that other things we have loaded there, they are here. If you check this chord, if this chord was the only thing that was here, you see that this chord has divided this circle into a bigger portion up there and a smaller one down there. The upper one there, we call it a major, all these areas. So all these areas from this chord upward, we call it major segment. While the one downward is called a minor segment. So what segment does? Segment is the region bounded by a chord and an arc. The region bounded, see what I'm talking about, see it. This is a chord. Let me talk about the minor segment before I talk about the major segment. This is a chord, the region, the area, bounded by the chord and an arc, minor segment. The region bounded by a chord and an arc. This is a chord, this is a bigger arc. You can see, major segment. So we can see that segment is actually the region bounded by a chord and an arc. And the next one I want to talk about is sector. Sector, we already have it here. A sector is actually the region, the area bounded by two radius. This one is a radius, this one is a radius. Bounded by two radius and an arc. Is the region bounded by two radius and an arc. So you can see sector is a region bounded by two radius, 1, 2, and an arc. So this area here is called the what? It's called the area there is called the sector. So that area, that region bounded by two radius and an arc is what we call what? A sector. It is necessary for us to know this because as we go on, when we are solving calculations, sometimes you just made mention of some of these things, and if you don't understand what they're talking about, you don't know how to place them in a circle, and it will not help you. It will be difficult for you to analyze the question that I'm giving to you. So it's good you have a perfect knowledge of all these parts of circle. So that when you are asked a question, you say this is a segment, this is a chord, you know what you're talking about. So this is another foundational stone that you must need to know in mathematics. So it must not be overlooked. So try to pay attention to this and learn it while we continue in other videos that will be sending on this platform. Thank you.